The rain fell hard over Torrance, turning the empty highway into a black river of water and light. Olivia Sterling sat on the soaked pavement beside her disabled luxury sedan, her cream suit clinging to her skin, her blonde hair plastered against her face. She was 34, CEO of Sterling Media Group, used to control, power, and order. But tonight, she was stranded, her phone dead, her car lifeless, and the world around her swallowed by storm. The decision to take the rural road had been a mistake. She wanted to avoid traffic after a conference, not realizing she'd be driving into the teeth of a storm. She hadn't seen another car in over an hour. When headlights finally pierced through the curtain of rain, she stumbled to her feet, waving frantically. A tow truck slowed to a stop beside her, its faded blue paint glinting under a flickering work light. A man stepped out, a little over 6 feet, broad-shouldered, dark hair plastered his forehead. He carried a lantern that glowed warmly in the rain. "You all right?" he called, his voice deep and rough. "My car broke down," Olivia managed through chattering teeth. "Phone's dead. I've been stuck here over an hour." The man crouched by her car, moving with quick, practiced efficiency. Behind him, she noticed a young boy watching from inside the cab, a boy no older than 8, wearing a yellow raincoat several sizes too big. After a few minutes, the man stood. "Transmission shot," he said. "You've been leaking fluid for a while. Probably seized up. You're not driving this anywhere tonight." Panic rose in her chest. "But I have to get back to the city. I have an important meeting." He shook his head. "City's 2 hours away in good weather. In this storm, 3. Roads are flood. Hotels are booked for miles. People are pulling off the highway to wait it out." "Then what do I do?" she asked, her voice trembling. The man hesitated, clearly weighing his words. "I can tow your car at my shop and let you use my phone, but nobody's coming out in this weather. It's not safe." Olivia looked at the darkness stretching endlessly around her. She was drenched, freezing, and suddenly small in a world that didn't care who she was. "Can I sleep in your truck?" she whispered. "Just until morning? I'll pay you anything." He stared at her for a long moment, unreadable. The humiliation burned her throat. Olivia Sterling, begging a stranger for shelter. "Please," she added quietly. "My name's Ethan Cooper," he finally said. "That's my son, Jake. We live 10 minutes from here. You can't stay in the truck. It's too cold. But you can stay at our place. It's small, but it's dry and safe." Tears of relief filled her eyes. "Thank you. I can pay." "I don't want your money," Ethan interrupted gently. "I just don't want you catching hypothermia." He helped her into the tow truck. Jake scooted over, staring up at her with wide eyes. "You look really wet," he said. "I am really wet." Olivia managed to smile. "But I'll be okay now." Ethan started the truck. The heater roared to life, filling the cab with warmth. "We'll get your car in the morning," he said. "Let's just get you somewhere dry." They drove through sheets of rain until the lights of a small house came into view. A porch light glowed softly against the storm beside a detached garage marked Cooper Auto Repair. Inside, the house was warm and lived in. Family photos on the wall, toys scattered across the floor. Ethan handed her a towel and a set of clean clothes, a sweatshirt and sweatpants several sizes too big. "Bathroom's down the hall," he said. "I'll make some coffee." When she returned warm and dry, Ethan was at the stove while Jake sat at the kitchen table with a mug of hot chocolate. The boy's voice carried easily. "Dad, is she a princess?" Ethan chuckled. "No, buddy, she just had a rough night." Olivia smiled, sitting beside Jake. "That's the nicest thing anyone said to me all week." Ethan handed her a cup of coffee, the warmth seeping into her hands. "So," he asked, "what's a woman in designer heels doing out on a rural highway in a storm?" "I was coming back from a conference," she said. "Took the scenic route to clear my head. Big mistake." "What kind of business?" Jake asked, fascinated. "I run a media company," Olivia replied. "TV, newspapers, websites, a lot of moving parts." "So you're the boss of everything?" Jake's eyes widened. "Something like that." She laughed softly. "Though tonight, I'm not the boss of much." Ethan smiled. "Even CEOs need help sometimes." As they talked, Olivia learned Ethan's story. He was a widower. His wife had passed 3 years ago. He'd left a high-paying job at a city garage to raise Jake, running his small repair shop from home. "It's just the two of us," he said, ruffling his son's hair. "Some days are tough, but we manage." Olivia looked around at the warmth of their home, the quiet laughter, the photos of happier days. She'd spent years building an empire, yet her nights were silent, her apartment sterile. "That's beautiful," she said softly. "You have something rare." "Jake's my world," Ethan said simply. "That's all that matters." He showed her to the guest room, a small, tidy space with fresh linens. "Not much," he said apologetically. "It's perfect," she replied. "You've done more for me than you know." Ethan smiled faintly. "My mom used to say, we're all just walking each other home. Sometimes that means giving someone a place to stay for the night." That night, Olivia lay awake listening to the storm fade. For the first time in years, she felt safe, not because of walls or wealth, but because of kindness freely given. Morning came with sunlight streaming through the curtains and the smell of pancakes in the air. She found Ethan and Jake laughing in the kitchen, the boy waving a spatula like a sword. "Breakfast?" Ethan asked. Olivia laughed and sat down. "I'd love some." They ate together like they'd done it 100 times before. Jake told stories about school. Ethan teased him about his messy handwriting. Olivia found herself smiling more than she had in months. After breakfast, Ethan towed her car into his garage and worked for hours while Olivia and Jake played board games inside. She used his phone to reschedule her meeting, and surprisingly, she didn't care. When the car was finally fixed, Ethan refused her offer of extra payment. "I'm not profiting off bad luck," he said. "At least let me pay you for your time," she insisted. He shook his head with a grin. "You already did. You made Jake's week." She looked at him. This man who had opened his home to a stranger and asked for nothing. In her world, every favor had a price. But here, kindness was simple. "Real. Then let me take you both to dinner," she said impulsively. "Please." Ethan hesitated, then smiled. "Okay, but somewhere Jake can wear sneakers." Dinner turned into something far more meaningful than a thank you. They chose a small diner on the edge of town, bright booths, homemade pie, and coffee that never seemed to run out. Jake devoured pancakes for dinner while Ethan and Olivia talked for hours, their conversation effortless. She told him about her company, the relentless pressure, the endless meetings and sleepless nights. He listened, genuinely interested, not intimidated. When she asked about his life, he spoke simply about his work, about raising Jake alone, about finding peace in small things, fixing cars, cooking dinner, watching his son grow. When Olivia left that night, she promised to visit again. And she did. Week after week, she drove the 2 hours from the city, finding herself drawn not just to Ethan and Jake, but to the calm of their small town. She began helping Ethan organize his business finances, designing a simple website to bring in more customers. In return, Ethan taught her how to change a tire, check oil, and appreciate quiet nights under the stars. Jake adored her. He'd wait on the porch every weekend, yelling "Princess Olivia" the moment her car pulled in. They'd bake cookies, play chess, and watch movies on rainy afternoons. Slowly, Olivia's world began to shift. In the city, her name commanded boardrooms. In Ethan's town, it made no difference. No one cared about her title or her suits. They cared about her laughter, her kindness, and the way she fit into their lives as naturally as she'd always belonged there. 6 months after that rainy night, Olivia stood before her company's board of directors and made an announcement that left them stunned. "I'm stepping down as CEO," she said. The room went silent. "I've given everything to this company," she continued. "But somewhere along the way, I forgot what mattered most. I'm ready to start living again." Some tried to persuade her to reconsider, but her mind was made up. She appointed a trusted colleague as her successor and left the city that had defined her for years. She bought a small house on the same street as Ethan's, with a porch that faced the sunrise and a garden she could tend herself. When Ethan helped her move in, he looked at her uncertainly. "You sure about this?" he asked. You're giving up a lot. I'm not giving up anything, Olivia said softly. I'm gaining everything. She looked at him, eyes steady. That night, I had money, status, success, but I was lost. You and Jake showed me what I'd been missing. Love, connection, purpose. The things that actually make life worth living. Ethan smiled, reaching for her hand. I fell in love with you when you asked if you could sleep in my truck, he admitted. You were scared and soaked, but you still had pride. That's when I saw the real you, not the CEO, not the headlines. Just you. Tears welled in her eyes. And I fell in love with a man who offered warmth without asking for anything. With a boy who thought I was a princess in sweatpants. With this life, simple, genuine, full of love. They stood there for a long moment. The quiet hummed the small town around them. A year later, they married in Ethan's backyard beneath a canopy of light strung between trees. Jake was a ring bearer, proudly telling everyone his dad was marrying a real princess. The wedding was small but perfect. Friends, neighbors, laughter, and the sound of rain in the distance, a reminder of the night everything began. Olivia continued running her consulting firm remotely, helping other companies find balance and meaning instead of endless growth. But her greatest joy came from home, from Jake's drawings on the fridge, from late-night talks with Ethan, from waking each day in a life that finally felt like her own. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, she'd sit on the porch watching the sunset, remembering that stormy highway, the moment her life broke down and began again. Because sometimes our greatest blessings arrive in disguise. Sometimes the storm that leaves us stranded is the same one that leads us home. And the people who save us are not the ones we expect, the ones with titles or power, but those who offer kindness, ask for nothing, and see us for who we truly are. So if this story touched you, remember this. Life doesn't always fall apart to punish us. Sometimes it falls apart so something better can be built. Maybe tonight, somewhere on a dark road, someone else is waiting in the rain. And maybe, just maybe, their miracle is already on its way.